What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 53 of Hobby Hotline, the only live call-in show in the hobby. And as always, my name is Drew, and joined today by Mr. Stale Gum himself, Chris Harris. What's up, bud?
So you said this was 53?
Yeah.
So that kind of means that this is the first anniversary, is it not?
Yeah, it probably would, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. Did not recognize that.
Happy anniversary to us.
Right? And also joining us today, we've got Dr. Beckett himself. What's going on, Jim?
Glad to be here, Drew. Thanks. Welcome, Chris.
Absolutely.
Welcome,
What's up,
Dr.
Brody?
Beckett.
How's it going, man? So thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. It is a nice Sunday, beginning February, and I guess, what's up, Cardboard Max? I guess it is kicking off year 2 of Hobby Hotline, but we'll kick it off today with, well, I guess we'll just talk right about the big game this weekend, the Super Bowl. Kick off today, starting with one of the bigger games of the year. An interesting one, to say the least. I'm down here in Florida right now, and it's getting packed, but it's gonna be a fun game. So I guess we'll start out for a little bit talking about the show. Call in, guys. We'll put the link in the chat. If there's anything you would like to call in, if you've got any questions, comments, or anything, please feel free to call in and join the show. But yeah, so big game this weekend. A lot of hobby implications as well. But who do you guys have? What are you looking forward to in this game?
Well, my dad and I were Philadelphia Eagles season ticket holders, and we went to the Super Bowl the year it was in Jacksonville when Andy Reid's Eagles played Tom Brady's Patriots. Mm-hmm. So Andy Reid needs his win back, so I'm pulling for the Chiefs.
Very nice. What about you, Mr. Beckett?
Me too. I'm pulling for the Chiefs. I think it's not that Brady's going to run out of fingers, but it's just I think I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going with them too. Simply, I'm a Panthers season ticket holder, so I'm not allowed to cheer for the Bucs. It's not in the DNA. Can't happen. Even if I think they're going to win, just can't. So we'll go with the Chiefs as well. But yeah, it should be a fun Super Bowl. And guys, please call in. Let us know who you think's going to win the Super Bowl. But there's been a lot of bump this week on Brady and Mahomes. They've obviously, those two guys have been chugging along in here, and there's been the whole narrative of, is this the beginning of the next dynasty, so to speak? Is Mahomes about to take the mantle from the Super Bowl and start a dynasty of his own? What are you guys' thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the market right now, seeing such an increase in these guys' prices right now? Do you think people are trying to jump on board, and is this Super Bowl win almost already built into their prices right now? Or do you think these cards can continue going up if they do win the Super Bowl? Because a lot of these cards are tripling in value in 2 weeks.
Well, the question I'm asking is, I think the way you asked the question, Drew, yes, they will go up. Game performance suggests that prices go up, but the better question is, should they go up when, like you said, there's already a lot of baked in, full premium, pricing for both of those quarterbacks. And so everybody accepts the price right now and says, well, if they have a great game, it should go up even further. I'm not so sure. And if you look at past history, sometimes eventually you're going to look at the player, the price, and compare to others. And even if Patrick Mahomes wins a second, there's a huge distance between 2 Super Bowl championships and 6, like Brady has. So Brady, I think, is solid. Mahomes, it's scary. If he wins, It's going to look like people are going to think, well, he's just going to win the next. He's just going to keep winning. But it takes a whole team, and I think the Chiefs are the better team. Mahomes doesn't have to be the better quarterback. It's the better team that's going to win. So I'm scared that, in fact, no, I'm not scared. I'm eager to see what other non-quarterback emerges, somebody who hasn't gone up yet. That's where the real uh, dynamic play might be in betting on who in the game is going to really show up and perhaps even be the outshine the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think, well, wasn't it a couple of days ago that a Contenders Brady rookie sold for like $550,000? I think regardless of the outcome of the Super Bowl, I think that price is kind of baked in. I don't think that if Brady wins another one, does it go up to what, 600? I think the ceiling for that card for now is around 550, 600.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm
No,
not sure.
I agree. I agree with that. I think I agree with what Dr. Beckett had just said about some of the better picks. I think are players like Tyreek Hill, someone like that. Where if you look at someone like his prisms, they have not moved in a very long time. And if you're looking at like an impact player in this game, I think you're looking at cards that have a chance to actually move tremendously by this. Those would be the ones I would expect to see as opposed to the quarterbacks because I kind of think these prices are baked in a little bit. As Cardboard Max said, with it being the end of the year, the prices will drop or at least settle back in maybe a week or so after. I don't really see them skyrocketing too much. I kind of think we're in an era now where there's so much speculation and so many people in the market. You almost get those championship buy prices almost baked in before, like you were saying, Dr. Beckett. I don't really necessarily see the superstars taking like an astronomical leap forward as much as I do some players like a Tyreek Hill or somebody who people might have missed his big performance against Tampa early in the year. He goes out and puts up another one. I think you could see his stuff rise, but then it gets to the point of, well, he's a wide receiver, so it'll probably drop in the offseason again. So is it a temporary bump or not? But I kind of think they are baked into it a little bit.
You know, guys, one of the reasons I love being on Hobby Hotline is because it causes me to think because of the comments and the other co-hosts and think about things in a different way. And so I've never really heard other podcasts talk about this, and I probably will eventually on mine, but I never thought about it this way. So many people talk about what card after the Super Bowl has the greatest chance of a high percentage increase, when in reality, what they're really thinking is what card has the best chance of going up by $50,000? And to take Chris's example of the Contenders Brady, could that go from 550 to 6? Now you got to put 550 large into it, but Tyreek Hill, it has no card that will go up $50,000.
No.
And so people think about the percentages, but they also think about the absolute dollars. And that's why the huge cards get so much glamour. And they don't even need to go up a huge percent. Great. Nope. If Brady went up 10%, that's thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. And so a lot of the hobby publicity is about cards that even if they go up a little bit, it's big bucks.
Or even, go ahead.
No, I was waiting on to hear what you had to say.
If you take a player like Mahomes, for example, what would be what is considered his analog to the Brady's contender card? Would it be his contender card, his prism card, or his national treasure card?
I would say probably contenders and national treasures. It's really hard to base prisms compared to Brady. I guess you could go with his like Bowman Chromes or something and stuff like that. Card. But there's a couple, but it doesn't go into like real low numbered pairs. I mean, there's nothing to compare. I really think like a Mahomes gold prism out of 10, graded a PSA 10. I don't really know what the comp on that with Brady would be, but I think probably contenders or national treasures would probably be a pretty good start.
Okay. Do any of you ever would see that card as selling for $500,000?
Yes.
Would
I mean, I do. I mean, I personally do. I think, and I'm only saying that if you'd asked me this like 6 months ago, I'd probably say no, because but I didn't expect to see what we're seeing now. And I mean, I could easily see. I mean, I've seen some of his. I'm trying to find it on Rally, but I know they've put up a National Treasures. It's gone pretty high in the past. I would expect if he wins the Super Bowl, he's the one person I could see a couple of people really jumping on hardcore onto. I could see his probably going up there. I think he's got a ways to go before it gets that high, but he does have the advantage that Brady doesn't have. Those National Treasure. I mean, I think he's got 4 one-of-ones in National Treasures and just his rookie RPA with the laundry tag, an NFL shield, the team logo. Like, he's got so many of those low-numbered ones. I think he has more opportunity to, just because he has more cards. But at the same time, that can also go against him.
Yeah, because wouldn't that kind of dilute the value, having 4 different ones of one of the same player and the same product?
Once the demand is gone, yeah. I mean, but where does that demand end? I don't know how many I don't know how many people are willing to go up to 500K on him right now. But yeah, Kevin, that's a great answer. Rob Gronkowski, another guy that if you're looking at lower outside guys, he's incredibly undervalued, just being a tight end, I think. But I mean, he's one of the best around, that you would think. But here's a great question from Cardboard Max. I wanted to pose with you guys. Is this the beginning of the modern massacre? It seems everyone is going goat shopping, and you've kind of seen that in every sport, whether it be baseball, basketball. I mean, Fleer Jordans I saw this morning, 1990 Jordans. Those were $5 cards for as long as I can remember. They're popping off at like $50 to $100 on eBay now. I mean, it's ridiculous what this stuff is skyrocketed to. But I mean, the stuff's getting paid. I've moved a lot of stuff for ridiculous asking prices that I forgot to change, and people just snapped off at them before I could even change them, and I didn't even know the comps were going on. So, I mean, it like I like the way he phrases it with a modern massacre, but the goat shopping. I mean, do you think this is something where we've got so many cards out now that people are just going to chase the best stuff in every single sport as opposed to all the other stuff? Or, what's going on here?
Well, I've never
heard that.
Go
ahead, Dr. Beckett.
No, you go ahead, Chris.
I think we need to look at the hobby, and we need to like subdivide it into certain sectors. There's one segment of the hobby that, collectors. And then there's a different kind of hobby that's for these one-of-a-kind tentpole cards like Jordan rookies, Brady rookies, Mahomes rookies, 52 Mantle cards that sell for $5 million. That's something completely different than the rest of the hobby.
Right.
I think that part of the hobby is doing well and will continue to do well. The rest of the hobby, I think, and I'm going to take off my hat as a collector and put on the hat of my day job as an economist, resembles a lot of an asset bubble to me. I think a lot of what I'm seeing in the hobby right now really resembles what we saw in mortgage-backed securities like around 2007, or dot-com stocks around 99 or 2000. You have a lot of people bidding up the price, but really aren't interested in the final, in holding that asset, and in our case, collecting them. Is this the beginning of a modern massacre? I think for a lot of those non-flagship, non-tentpole cards, I think so. But for a lot of these other high-end cards, I don't think so. I think there's always going to be a market for those things.
I just have to say, I don't want to always be the voice of experience or the crotchety old guy in the room, but I don't. I think you could make a case either way, Chris. And here's the way I would state it: is the hobby is pretty quickly going to divide into two camps. People that say once a card is so exotic that it's fractionalized, I'm going to chase that card because, or I'm going to try to get a piece of it because it's going to be where the publicity is. It's really going to be pushed. But I think there's another segment of the hobby says as soon as a card gets up to that level of tentpole status and gets fractionalized, I'm going the other direction. I don't want to have cards that are going to be run up so high. I want to have some other great cards. There's all kinds of other cards you can get of the same player, just not the very best once it gets fractionalized. So again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying once a card gets fractionalized, it takes on a life of its own. And me personally, I'm not really. I mean, I'm not a buy. I'm eventually maybe a sell. I'm going to sell, like I said, whenever something I think is double what I think it's worth, I will sell. But I'm going to hold. I want to be buying things that I think are undervalued. And once something gets fractionalized, it's hard to say it's undervalued anymore. Just my thought.
And the thing with fractionalization is that most of these are cards that most of us are never going to be able to afford anyway.
But we could have.
Like back
in the day, we could have.
That should be considered a completely different segment of the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Beck, I think you nailed it when you said like it really does segment everything, but they do take on a life of their own. When they're fractionalized cards, you've seen it with countless cards right now. And I'm looking on Rally. I did find it, Chris. There's a Mahomes National Treasures 3 out of 5 graded a Beckett 8 that's going up soon on Rally for $240K to be sold, and that'll probably snap fill in 5 minutes. So there's your comparison with Mahomes right now. National Treasure 3 of 5 put up for $240 at a fractionalized.
I'm not so sure that's really a fair comparison because it's numbered to 5.
Right.
But
right. That's what I'm saying.
It's a parallel.
Yes.
But the Contenders Brady, that's a base card that I think was limited to only maybe like 300 or 400 copies, which is still pretty scarce. But it's a true rookie versus a parallel.
Yes. Yeah. That's where it gets difficult trying to compare these two from different generations and different eras with cards when you look at their rookies.
Drew.
Yeah.
It's not hard to compare. It's hard to compare fairly, accurately, unbiased. It's easy to compare. People are doing it all the time.
Right.
But they're comparing it to the best advantage of the position that they want to support. And again, it's a free world. That's fine. But I think people that are chasing what everybody else is chasing, it's, anytime supply is much greater than or much less than demand, it's going to drive the prices up there. And at some point, I'm not saying it's a massacre, but at some point, perhaps it gets above what is sustainable.
No, I agree, and I love how you said how you put that. People do compare it all the time, but it's very difficult to actually compare it accurately. Regardless, the Super Bowl should be an interesting one. I want to see. I'm curious to see what happens either way with Brady and Mahomes cards because, I mean, as we've said, I saw this week with Steve Aoki. What was his name? Belzer's over there opening stuff now. Like, there's a lot of really big influencers jumping onto this stuff right now, and some deep pockets. So I'm curious to see what they dive into after the Super Bowl. It's going to be quite interesting. But move on now to a couple other things. Chris, I know you wanted to touch on it, so we will touch on it again.
Yes, we're going to go from the Super Bowl to the Super Bowl of baseball card collecting. And that's the release of Series 1 Topps. It comes out, I think, Wednesday or Thursday of this week, although it may very well be out tomorrow. You know how that works. I had a few comments about Series 1 this year, and I'll start out with something that I think is good about Series 1 this year. We have a border back. Yay. it actually somewhat looks like a Topps card now, because over the last 4 or 5 years when it was borderless, I mean, does anybody even remember what the Topps set 3 years ago was? I don't. But if you were to like throw out a random year like 1952, 1975, 1987, heck, even 2004, most of us could probably imagine what the Topps set that year looks like. I'm not so sure we could say the same thing about the Topps sets of the last couple of years that were borderless. But we have a border back. That's good. It does kind of resemble 91 Donruss with the angle stripes, which I don't particularly like. Let me take a look. See. Okay. So, the base set. It's back down to 330 cards, which means Series 2 is probably also going to be 330. So it's back down from 700 cards to 660. And I think I speak for a lot of collectors when I say this, but I don't think there should be any reason why the Topps set shouldn't be at least 792 cards. Can I get an amen from that from the comments section, please? At least 792. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, let me move on here. I actually have a matrix of what's in the product that I'm looking at.
So what are your feelings on the checklist this year? Like, have you looked at the checklist and seen like
I have looked at the checklist, and you know, they backloaded this set with all the rookies that should have been normally an update. And I understand that really wasn't Topps's call to do that. It was more the Players Association. So we got Joe Adell, Joey Bart, and like 40 other, I think there's like close to 50 rookies in the base set. And again, most of these guys, they've already made their major league debut, and they probably should have been in update. Right. Again, I understand that, again, this wasn't Topps's decision to do. It is what it is.
I think season 1 will probably have a pretty good buzz on it this year with baseball trying to start on time. I think if there had been like too much of a delay or anything, I think series 1 might get a little less like demand than they want. But I actually see this as probably being a pretty hot baseball product out of the gate, like huge now that they're trying to get the season on time. I agree with you.
We don't know when the season's going to start yet.
Yeah, well, they're trying.
In April, or whether it's going to be delayed until late April or even May. So,
aren't the positions either start on time or wait a month?
That's basically, yeah.
If those are the two positions, then you know maybe it's
cutting down the season to 154 games.
That seems to be what they are doing. So Chris, are you looking? Have you? I'm not as in tune to. Okay, Kevin wants to know: will you see Series 1 in the wild? If you're looking for retail blaster boxes, I guess probably not. I think people will probably scoop those up pretty fast.
But don't be so sure about that, because I mean, Series 1 is probably the most produced, or at least it was up until recently. Probably the most produced trading card set of the year. It's certainly the most sold trading card set of the year. So it wouldn't surprise me that you would see some Series 1 in the wild. You may have to wait a while though for all the vultures and to scoop it up. But you may have to wait a while to get your blasters, but I think it should eventually trickle into the Walmarts and Targets. Obviously, you'll be able to find hobby boxes at the local card store. But as far as retail goes, I think with just the sheer amount that's made, you're eventually going to find this stuff.
And then, yeah, I think it's one that's restocked so much eventually. You will.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dr. B?
I mean, of all the products in the hobby, this is not one you'd try to corner the market.
No.
It sells well, but it's going to be, produced in let's just say, quote unquote, sufficient quantity. It's not going to be.
I mean, if you saw what they did last year with that rip party at the beginning of the year, just how many packs of cards and that was just the jumbo boxes. Because they make more of the retail wax and they make a lot more of the hobby wax than they do jumbo packs.
Well, that's what I was thinking was if it was getting so scarce on the retail that people were going to complain, there's really not much that's stopping Topps from getting more out on the shelves if they want to anyway. I do see 1 Million Cups Project say that Blasters online. I have not looked yet to even try, but it looks like right now, if you want to get blasters, you can get them for actually a pretty good price online. And as those back page says, is that Rip Party feels like 5 years ago. Yeah, it absolutely does. You look at, especially looking at the hobby now and then, it does feel like a very, very long time ago. I personally think you'll be able to find Series 1. I mean, I don't find a full display, but if I want to find a couple hanger boxes or a couple hanger packs, I have a pretty decent shot at getting those. So I think you'll be able to find it in the end. And I saw a couple people say that they think this year will be worse. That's what Foul Ball said. If you have someone like, if Joe Adele takes off this year, if one of those guys just explodes, yeah. But I don't see it being right out of the gate going off that well because there wasn't that much hype on a lot of these guys for a year. You didn't get to see them for some of these guys for a long time. And if you did, it was in incredibly limited capacity. And then you've got to decide how you want to value that. I think that they have a little advantage from last year in that, at least collectors do, that there wasn't as much film on these guys. There wasn't as much tape. They didn't play as much. So they might not, be in the public eye as much as in past years with Robert, Bichette, Gavin Lux, a class like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll so Series 1 does come out. I think you said, Chris, you said next week?
This week.
Okay.
I wanted to. Do we have more time for Series 1 talk, or do you want to get in another?
Floor is yours.
I wanted to continue on the rest of the product, like the inserts, which is kind of big for me because I'm a big insert guy. And two of the big problems that have really plagued Topps' flagship brand over the last decade are insert bloat, as I like to call it. That is having a lot of inserts that really don't mean much, but are like 50 to 100 cards deep in each series.
Yeah.
And again, looking at my checklist here, there is a 100 card insert set. There's a 70 card and a 50 card. But most of the insert sets are in like the 20 to 30 card range, which I think is good. It makes them more collectible for one thing, both collectible and able to be collected. But the other problem with Topps over the years is this continued almost beating into the ground like a dead horse of old Topps designs. Now, I get it that this is the 70th anniversary of Topps, and this is the one set where you would save all those old designs. But it's just not special because every Topps set over the last decade has had some kind of reprint insert in it. So the main insert, the main marquee insert in Topps this year is called 70 Years of Topps Baseball, and it's 70 cards, one from each year, but it's a a current active player on an old Topps design, which would sound great in the 70th year of Topps baseball, but they did that last year. There was an insert called Choice, which was the same concept. So it's just not special anymore.
No, I agree with that. I mean, that's something that I've wanted Topps and Panini and any company really to do for years, is get back to making inserts special. But they've moved them from where, I mean, I was opening up a couple of old 90s boxes and early 2000s boxes, and you had maybe 2 or 3 subsets. And that was it. Outside of the base set, you had 1 or 2 insert sets. Normally one was super short printed, one wasn't. And that was about how it is. But nowadays you've got countless of them. And I agree with the top 70. Topps really waters down the inserts. If you pull like I always go to the hanger packs. If you knock out those base cards in a hanger pack, you got about a stack of 20 cards with 1 or 2 parallels and then 18 different inserts from crazy different things that Topps is putting out.
But that's not just the only other reprint. There's also another 1980s reprint set, 86 Topps, which, why? Who cares? And why are there 100 of them? I mean, that right there is a nutshell, in a nutshell. My problem with Topps, with Topps baseball over the last couple of years. Bloated inserts and recycled designs over and over and over and over and over again.
Can I summarize what you're saying, Chris? From thinking, interacting with the manufacturers and seeing their different products that they offer. Of all the products that any of the manufacturers offer, this is the least niche product that you could possibly have, because it's really intending, and you're criticizing it probably correctly, but it has something for everybody. If you're the advanced collector, you understand the historical significance and are looking back, but this is not a niche product. If you were a consumer packaging person and you said, let's have a focus group for Topps Series 1, the flagship. Well, the focus group, they couldn't just go to advanced collectors. They couldn't just go to brand new collectors. It's the one product that I think they intend to be for everybody. So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they overbake it, that they put in all these things that we as advanced collectors can see, gee, you did that before. But if they're really trying to have a product that appeals to everybody, then that's tricky.
Yeah.
And so if advanced collectors, well, anyway, that's my thought there, that it's not a niche product. It's a product for if you collect baseball cards, there's some people that's the main thing.
Well, Dr. Becky, you're right. It is the one product that everyone in the hobby collects, it seems. But my problem is we keep seeing the same concepts and the same designs over and over and over and over and over every year. And there's just no originality. There's no thought that's being put into this.
No, I'm not sure, because basically, if you look at it from a branding perspective, they are reinforcing the brand, reinforcing the brand, reinforcing the brand. So a brand strategist is saying that, Chris, your frustration proves that what we're doing is working.
But do we need to reinforce it every year and in every product?
Well, I think they've just got to the point. I mean, I think they've got to the point where they see, I mean, Chris, it's kind of one of those things where they've made it now. I don't see them really scaling it back. I mean, they might find a common ground and decide to pause there. But I think it is one of those, it's not like Dr. Becker said, it's the last product really that's meant to be a niche product. And so it is going to be something where they do try to appeal to everyone, where they try to go to every single area that they can. to collectors. I mean, you've got diehard collectors that are going to chase the rookies. Like Rich Klein says, that there's a ton of people that he knows that only will go after that flagship set and nothing else still to this day. I mean, maybe that's just, I don't really see him scaling it back. I agree, Chris. You don't need to do maybe a retrospective look back 100 card, 70 card set every single year on the 71st year. I don't think we need a 71 card set next year. But at the same time, if people are, you're almost conditioned to seeing those now. I know when I am, if I open up Topps, I expect to see 4 or 5 of those different insert sets every year. So
okay,
I know what you're saying.
One more perspective from I've been talking to some of the card company people over the years, over the decades, about building these sets. And when you look at the golden age of insert sets was the late 90s. Okay, so those were fresh design. And when I was running the company, and we were trying to put out, pleasing magazines and graphic, collateral materials and things like that. And I used to say that when you're creating a new design for something, an ugly design sometimes is just as expensive to produce as a beautiful design. Okay. And so let's get something we really like and let's create something fresh. However, because ugly design is not cheaper than new design, it's still somebody working it up. However, the cheapest thing is regurgitating, is using the old design and tweaking it just a little bit. So we shouldn't be surprised that most of it is going to be tweaking something old. But again, if you go back to the boldness of the mid-late 90s, of extremely very fresh thinking of designs that had never been seen before, and those are some of the most enduring, in the Michael Jordan world. Again, that was very creative, and some of them were a little bit garish, but wow, I mean, they were rare, and it's stuff that people really care about. But that's more expensive to start from scratch. To take last year's or make it similar is way easier.
Well, you're talking 90s and early 2000s inserts. That's right in my wheelhouse. And I think part of the reason why those inserts are so continue to resonate a lot with collectors is that, for one thing, in a lot of those products, you didn't get an insert in every pack. And a lot of those insert sets were maybe only about 15 to 20 cards deep. So you only got the superstar players.
Yeah.
And yes, they were a little more expensive to produce, but they still meant something. A 100 card set of current players, all in the 86 Topps style, with a 35th anniversary foil stamp on it, is not the same thing as a 1 per box in die cut insert printed on leather from 1997.
I totally agree with you, Chris, but I don't know that I am if there's a bullseye for the typical Topps flagship customer, I don't think you and I are at the center of the bullseye. Nope. I think they're selling it to people that open it up and say, I love this stuff. And we're putting a historical perspective, and I think we're on the fringes of the marketing focus for. I mean, they want to get the traditional collector, but also the new collectors. I mean, they want this to be the primary baseball card set that anybody gets.
Yeah, I think you nail it right there. I think that we all love Series 1 and flagship. You want it to be like your set and everything. That's one of my favorite sets outside of Chrome every year. I mean, it's the same thing, really, but it's like Jim said. I don't know. I think that is trying to appeal to everybody. So I think this is where they do test a lot of things too. I think this is where they probably throw a lot of inserts that they're unsure about. things to appeal to. I mean, that's why you have in every single box, you'll have 3 inserts that look like they were made yesterday, and 3 inserts that were designed like they're from the 70s. I think they're trying to cast that incredibly large net and grab every collector that they can, and anyone that just wants to look at any kind of card.
And they're probably happy, Chris, that you're having a strong reaction.
Yes.
Even though it's not affirmative.
I don't know if they're happy.
Well, no, but it's being talked about.
Well,
yeah, exactly. It is. And I mean, you said it yourself, Chris, even in the criticism, you like the design, there's all these positives with it. So they do. They want to get that response, I think, from any collectors that they can. And then at the same time, they want to get any new collectors in because, like we were just saying, it's something that's printed so much. Some people might actually be able to find this on a shelf. Maybe. But we shall see.
One last thing about Topps this year. In the Target packs, there's a 30-card tribute set to Cody Bellinger, which is great. If they didn't do a 30-card tribute to Cody Bellinger exclusive to Target packs 3 years ago. So you're welcome. Thanks, Topps. All right.
Well, good call there. All right, so I guess we got about 20 minutes or so left on today's show. So we'll talk into now something else that went on.
Before you go on, you know what we need right now? We need a caller.
Yes, we do.
Callers.
We
haven't had with them in a while.
Love to have somebody call in, please. We've got the link right here. I'll throw it back in the chat once again. If you guys would like to call in, anything you'd like to talk about, whether it be Series 1, the Super Bowl, anything else in the hobby, or I guess what we'll touch on right now, and that's I guess last week they had a vote and it didn't go through. They had a vote this week and it did, but PSA sale finally complete. Nat Turner is going to take over control. It looks like they had, I think it was a 56 or 58% voted to sell the company, so he did get what he needed, and it looks like PSA is going private. So a lot of people talking about this week, and the implications on what it could mean. A lot of people didn't think the sale was going to go through. I kind of assumed it was going to. But what are your guys' thoughts on PSA being sold, heading into a collector's hands, and someone with some pretty deep pockets as well? Joe Orlando's going to stay on, but what do you guys think about the PSA sale?
Well, Chris recited, in the financial world, that there's some inflection points in everything's going great, and then it turned. Everything was going great, and then it turned. I'm wondering what the logic is behind people that didn't want to tender their shares for PSA, because PSA is going great right now. There's no question about that. But I know from my days at BGS, it is an industry, it is a product, it is a whole category of the hobby that will be in the foreseeable future disrupted. There will be a disruption, and the cash cow that is PSA, and I think all the great grading companies are doing world record business. But that whole category will be disrupted. It's not just new competitors. There's going to be new technologies. PSA, strong brand, it will endure, but its profitability, when things get artificially intelligenced, they become commoditized. When they become commoditized, the price goes down, profit margins go down. Right now, I would be surprised. I'd like to know what the logic is for somebody holding out and saying, no, that's not an outstanding offer for PSA. That's just my bias, perhaps.
Well, who's to say that PSA wouldn't be the one that's doing that automating, right? That's trying to automate this.
No, they will,
or is the disruptor,
or they'll acquire it. But I'm just saying, once it gets to that level, it could very likely. I mean, there's some uncertainty of whether it will be equally as profitable. Volume could even go up, but the profit margins could go down. Again, if you're dealing with, well, that's just what I've said. There's uncertainty, and it will be disrupted.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I voted to sell. I was kind of surprised that it didn't go the first time. Glad it went through this time. But there's been a lot of people that have, I don't know. Do you have any concerns about it going private? I don't. I mean, it was a private company. I mean, it's been a private company before. Do you guys, do you have any issue with them going private, or do you think it's just fine?
As far as it's going private, I don't, but I'm surprised this hasn't come up yet. That the fact that it's being sold to a collector, would that be does that raise like any kind of red flag as far as conflict of interest to anybody? That a collector of PSA cards is now going to buy PSA.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Dr. Beck.
I think it's positive. I'm only disappointed that Nat was a heavy BGS submitter who's probably going to bring his business in house. But other than that, facetious comment. I think it's positive. I'd like to see any of the companies, that any company that's not owned by some person or some entity that doesn't care about the product or the customers. I'm always in favor of the ownership of a company being passionate about serving the customer, and surely that will happen. I sure hope it does.
No, I agree. I think going into a collector's hands is excellent. And he was. I've had a bunch of conversations with him, and he's a huge BGS guy. So it was. If anything, I would have thought he would have made a run at that. It was interesting to see his name attached with PSA. But there's a great question right here by the card hobbyist, and I just had the owner of HGA on my show this week, and we talked a lot about this. But there are a lot of companies, CCG and HGA, are announcing their plan to move forward with automated grading. Do you guys think this will be a race to who has the best grading technology? I mean, I kind of think he's onto something there. But before we answer that question, I am going to pull
one of those. Is CCG? That's coin grading, correct?
CCG was comics, and they've moved in now. Into cards, and HGA is the new company that's using all AI, and they're called Hybrid Grading Approach. And we've actually got a caller. I'm gonna pull him in. You guys know him from the chat and the show plenty of times. Welcome, Kevin Jones, back. What's up, Kevin?
All right.
Good morning, everyone. What a great discussion this morning. And congratulations to, I guess, one official year on Hobby Hotline. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. I saw today's episode 53, so season 2, I guess, is starting. Huh?
Yes, so.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Hey, I don't know if this has been discussed. I hopped in a bit late this morning, and I don't know what your familiarity is with it, or if you've seen kind of the buzz around it. It's been a little crazy. It's been all over social media, but probably I've really seen it probably over the last 2 to 3 weeks. But is anybody familiar with what's been going on with the NBA Top Shot lately? Is anybody familiar with that?
Yeah, I've been watching it a little bit, not too much.
It's really interesting. It's basically video highlights, blockchain oriented, so they say, that the NBA is backing. And I mean, some of these clips that people are buying are going for 5 and 6 figures. It's a digital pack basically, and it's really, really, really bizarre. You buy and sell through their site. And I just was kind of wondering if anybody had any thoughts, familiarity, or observations on this NBA Top Shot.
Well, I'll say this: I've been thinking about trying it out. From my understanding, in those packs, it could be anything from like a pass to an assist to like some dunk, and I guess the better the highlight, the more money they're going for. I'm not really completely sure, but I know the NBA is trying to get into gambling. They're trying to get into cryptocurrency. I think pretty soon you'll be able to buy. I'd say in 10 years you'll probably be able to buy rights to a player himself. I'm sure someone will eventually sell fractional shares of himself.
I won't stay on too long today because I want you guys to be able to finish up. But it's really interesting. There's a great article in Forbes with Mark Cuban kind of talking about digital assets. And I mean, I know we've tried digital cards in the past. To me, it makes no sense. But I'm not going to lie. I was a skeptic on this Top Shot. And then last night I went and I opened up an account and I just picked up like a couple of cards that were like $1 or $2 or clips, I guess. And it's really, it's kind of cool. I'm not going to, of course, get heavily into it or anything, but it's interesting and neat and worth doing a little research on. People are going crazy. I mean, there's cards going for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know where this money comes from. It's really bizarre, but I thought I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, especially with kind of the Mark Cuban angle that I had seen. That this NBA Top Shot, it's all over social media, and I don't know. It's kind of cool, but it's also very weird. So I don't know. I want to throw that out and just get thoughts.
So let me get this straight. You open up a pack and you get a video clip.
Yeah.
Like, and this is just
five video clips, I think.
5 video. Okay. And these video clips are special. How?
Are they
like exclusive to this site?
It's per player. It's a recent game. It's across the NBA. They have series and waves and subsets and all kinds of different stuff. They have a Legends pack is what they're calling it. Is coming out for $900 for a pack, if you can believe it. And they sell out in like 5 minutes.
And do you like own the rights to that clip?
Yes. But
you can do whatever you want with it. You can maybe sell that clip.
So there's like a common, there's 15,000 of them, but each one has a specific number to the clip. Like, you know, LeBron James 3-pointer from the game on February 3rd or whatever. Maybe there's 15,000 of them. Maybe there's 5,000 of them. Maybe there's 500 of them. And the clip that you own is individually numbered, and you can track the history of that clip through the Top Shots website. Which again is backed by the NBA. It's really interesting. You can create playlists and you buy and sell through their marketplace. It's worth checking out. It's very interesting. It's weird, but I thought maybe you guys would have a little more familiarity with it, with how it's been all over social media.
But if you create a playlist, right? What can you do with that playlist? I mean, can you like sell it to
you basically create,
have them put it on SportsCenter?
You basically have like a social media page through the Top Shot website, and then people can comment and like, and there's a whole Discord attached to it. It's pretty wild. It's cool. I think the Gen Z, I think, really loves it. I think the younger, 20-somethings, I think, are really into this. But it's something else, and it's kind of neat. Like I said, I bought a few just kind of $1 and $2 clips just to try it out, and it's kind of neat to see it all laid out on there. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go, but I just thought it was it's really interesting. It seems to be taking part of the hobby by storm in a way. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Kevin. Thanks for calling in, man. Greatly appreciate
it. Take care.
Thank you.
Can I respond to Kevin a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shot. I understand why NBA's doing it. They're innovative. They've got great highlights, and so it makes a lot of sense for them to do something like this. Again, I was mentioning consumer packaged goods. I mean, when you're doing cards, you have to produce the cards. There's a cost of sales. There's a cost of manufacturing. there's essentially, I think, no variable cost to this product. So I can see why the NBA would want to do it. I don't think I'm a likely customer for that, but don't fall in the trap of thinking that this iteration of that product is the final iteration. There could be, I mean, my mind is already racing about several innovations or improvements or extensions that could give this idea legs. So I think it's an idea that's here to stay, even though I'm sure I don't fully get it. It actually makes cards look like a super reasonable investment compared to buying something that you'll never be able to touch. So, and it's an excellent application of blockchain in that the chain of custody of your highlight. Like I say, in a dynamic hobby and ecosystem, there are going to be things that are tried that don't always come off right the first time. I think there are going to be further iterations of Top Shot, Top Shot 2, Top Shot Advanced, Top Shot, not just, the veteran players. So I think this is going to happen. And,
No, I agree with you, Dr. B. I'm not super familiar with every aspect of it, but I completely agree. I think that this is something that is going to be here to stay, and I think that there's a lot of possibilities to make this really cool and very interesting. And there's a lot of ways that they could make it to where, like 1 Million Cubs said, the prices, in his opinion, aren't sustainable. And I agree with what they're offering right now. But if they can find a way to add more inherent value in that, I've got a couple of ideas myself on how you could actually improve this in terms of even, like, I don't know their rules on licensing the clips, on using them and everything, but there's countless possibilities that I could see a lot of people really wanting to have a large library of this, depending on how you can use them. So with how they have it right now, I completely agree. In the future, yeah, if they make some tweaks to it, I could definitely see this as something that stays around for a while. Now, how popular it is, that's another story if you want to count the total number of people. But I could definitely see a segment of people, content creators. If they alter this a little bit, I could see this being huge for content creators to want to have. But just how they want to improve it.
Now, are these clips exclusive to this Top Shot, or
it's
or
the
not?
The NBA has licensed the Top Shot company technology to slice and dice these video highlights.
So if I wanted to buy, like, Michael Jordan slam dunking from the free throw line at the All-Star game, everybody's seen that clip, right? Is this like a different angle of that clip, or is this the exact same clip that we've all been seeing for the last 30 years?
Good question.
I mean, it's not just that they're watermarked, but I mean, you can't commercially use, a clip that you took from the TV. I mean, you can't. The NBA, if you did it on a big scale, they could shut you down. You're going to get the exclusive ability to use this clip in the manner that is permissible under this program.
And I think that's where the value can come into play. But like I said, if you're looking at it from a collection standpoint, it might not be for everybody, but I think I could see a lot of improvements on here. And I see Brody saying that Top Shot and other programs coming for sure. Bobby Baseball saying he thinks it could hurt physical cards someday. I could see that a little bit, but I think there's going to be way too many people and way too many collectors that want the actual cards. I don't see the collecting aspect being really affected by this.
In all due respect, Bobby, I think it could help physical cards. Yes. Physical cards are going to look like a better deal.
Right. Yeah, because you get to actually hold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting topic. Kevin, thanks so much for calling in, man. Greatly appreciate it. But Let's see here. We got Rex in the chat. Sorry, guys, catching up on your comments real quick. Yes, Clay Card Hobbyist says it perfect. Power of touch and feel will always exist. I think there's always going to be people that want that opening packs. I know me myself, if I'm collecting, that's exactly what I want. So, I don't think we have any big problem. Mr. Newman selling the rights to his photo account.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, y'all. Well, it is 12 o'clock, so I guess we'll wrap up this week's episode right here. Guys, on our social media accounts, please remember we are having the Zion Williamson jersey giveaway right now. So head on over to our Twitter. Make sure you read all those details. Send out the retweet. Make sure you're sending out the right one. You can also check any of our socials as well, and you guys can find the link to that because that's going on for just a little while longer. But yeah, so as Chris and so many of you guys pointed out that completely went past and over my head, we are into season 2 of Hobby Hotline. So thank you guys for 1 year hanging out with us and hopefully a lot more. But Dr. Beckett, Chris, thank you guys so much for joining the show. And
right.
we'll have a new group of guys here next week for you. So till then, you guys take it easy.
Good deal.